Hey guys, so I have a small wedding and I thought that I would just share a little bit of my process of creating the designs that I will be using for this wedding. I have a bridal bouquet, 3 bridesmaids bouquets, 16 small posies to make up, a medium-sized vase arrangement to make up, and a little long and low bridal table arrangement, and then about 5 buttonholes. Beautiful color palette, autumn, lots of naturals, and it's all dried and preserved flowers. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it comes out. There are inspiration images, but obviously you want to get inspiration, you don't want to copy something completely, and even if you try to copy something, it's near impossible to do that. So I hope you enjoy this. I've got 16 little posies that I'm going to make, and then I'm going to pop them in this vase. So I've got a number of ingredients that I'm going to use, and it should be able to fit into this vase, but we shall see. So I've got some dried nandina. This one's dried green, but I have some others that have some red tinges in it. It's quite lovely. Pampas grass. I have some wheat that'll go in. So some hydrangea. Some banksia. Some beautiful juniper myrtle, some baby's breath. I have red and white bunny tails, and 2 preserved hydrangea that I've pre-wired, and then this fern that I've pre-wired. I like to create my designs front facing, but because this is for the guest tables, I'm gonna have to make it round somewhat so that there's a face on every side. So I've got my mirror here to help me. So I'll start with the banksia and then just basically not put a whole heap of thought into it to give it that, you know, simple designed look. And I'm spiraling my stems. I don't know what I was doing. Spiraling my stems, so the stems will either go in front, or if I put them behind, they'll go so that the stem goes in that direction, if that makes any sense. So my next piece is going to go in here. And you can sort of begin to, as more things get added, turn it around so that I find that you can sometimes favor a spot accidentally. So if you can turn it around, it should help. Get this one back here. So this is what it looks like front on, and then if I turn it on each side. Bunny tails in. Bunny tails are great. They're very small, but I think they add interest. Pulling some bits down. And just for my ease, I'm just going to chop the long stems off. It sort of gets in the way a bit. I might put this guy under there like that. And now I'm tying my little petite posy with some twine. Now I will move things. See if it'll go in. Yep, and I'm going to cut it down a little bit more again. Okay, so this is it done. I've pulled some things down, and I might continue to pull more down as I go. Your first one is always the one you go back to and are like, oh, what was I thinking? But they'll all look somewhat like this. So only 15 more to go. So I'm going to begin the bridesmaids bouquets, and I'm going to start with my banksia because it's the focal flower, and I will just go along and start adding the flowers that I want. Bouquets aren't going to be exactly similar. I might have to snip some of the hydrangea because it's bulky. But I can wire some of these leftover pieces and use it elsewhere. So I'll do that right now. It's not always the easiest doing that way, but I can't let go of this bouquet just yet. So I've got some paper tape to secure, and a little bit more here. And I've got some bracken, which will be the bit that I use to cover the back, because I don't want it to be round. I want it to keep the front facing, but I also want this to I might have to cut some bits off. I am tying it with some twine. Snip the ends. I don't know how long or short I'm going to make them. I usually like them short, just because then the attention goes to the flowers. Just visually, it does make a difference, in my opinion. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do the bridal bouquet. Much of the same ingredients, but it will have more, it'll be bigger. And I've added this other banksia, I can never pronounce it, Menzii, something like that. And to go along with this banksia, I'm going to try and follow the same I guess pattern, ingredient method that I use as the bridesmaids bouquets. So I'll get my baby's breath at the front. Then my juniper myrtle I'll put slightly at the back. Put some wheat there. Look at my mirror. Make sure that there's flowers close to the bind. Okay. Put this here. Put more of the fern in. And twist the sometimes you can keep going and going and going. So I've still got a few pieces to add, but other than that I'm pretty finished with these bouquets. So that's my back. It's a bit hollow there, so this is, I'm going to just do just add it in there. There we go. So this is bride and this is bridesmaid. So you can see this is much bigger than that. I could have even done smaller, but yeah. I'm going to start on the buttonholes now. I have prepared all my materials and I'm using similar flowers and that I used in the bouquets. I'm going to start with this hydrangea and I'm going to turn it into somewhat of a ball. It's going to be my focal flower. Buttonholes are really fiddly. There are rules to making them, but a lot of people love the simplistic, rustic look, and so do I. So that's what I'm going to do today. You can wire them, but I'm not. Put some wheat behind my Ming Fern. Baby's breath. Wheat in between all that white. Now you can tie your pieces off now so that it doesn't move. Fern here. Tiny piece of bracken. There. Alright, and I'm going to get my paper tape. I'm going to do my best to tape it and not to move it out of place. Baby's breath needs to come down a bit more so you can really see the little beads, little flowers. It's just a really fiddly thing, but it's worth it when you get it right. It does require some time and concentration to get it the way you like. Okay, so yep, then I'll put I'll cut it down and put a little ribbon on it. I'll cut it down and put a little ribbon on it. And I like to cut it quite short. And then pins on the side and done. I have a little vase arrangement that I'm going to make, and this is going to be on the guest table. It's not going to be super big, but I do have quite a lot of flowers and foliage to put in. I've prepped my bowl. This is one way that you can do a flower arrangement. The only problem is that I've got to hide the green on the outside, so I could have used clear tape or something like that, but instead I've used green pop tape. You could also have put chicken wire in, or a frog, or yeah, but I'm sticking with this for now, and I'm just gonna go right in. So I'm gonna have some hydrangea sit there, and sit over the bowl somewhat. I may have taped this too wide to begin with, but as I put more flowers in, it'll figure itself out. And I don't, so that it sits in its place now. I do want some of this vase, and in this section here, I might just because this is going on the gift table, I'm going to do it front facing and just make sure that the back is covered, doesn't have the good materials that I want to sit at the front, because that's just the waste. So properly cover this up. And some white, because it's so dark now. Got some buttonholes on I think for a pot of collagen I put there. Some curly. Okay, now I'm done. One last arrangement to make, and that is the table arrangement. It's going to be long and low. I've prepared my container, and I'm going to start by putting in some bracken. I'm just going to create some length using this bracket. Doesn't have to be even Stevens. Going into this chicken wire and some pop tape to secure it. This is the end result. This will go on the bridal table. I'll be sure to take better pictures. You've got to make sure that under here is somewhat covered. So I'll fill in more when I get on site.